This is the Eye for an Eye channel. Welcome to today's show. The aftermath of the FEMA emergency alert signal that was sent. Let's cover it, talk about it, and again, recap all the stuff that a lot of these zombies are saying because they don't seem to understand. Even people who listen to my channel have messaged me and said, I forgot to turn it off. I didn't turn it off. Oh, and by the way, it also came 2 minutes early, which I had mentioned in my previous video to just do 2 to 3 o'clock in that window because nobody trusts them acting cute and doing it a few minutes beforehand or after because they expect people to do it at the bare minimum because they can't be off their phones for too long. So they were like, oh, okay, I'll do it at 2:19. I'll do it right at 2:20 because it won't come right at 2:20. Well, it came before 2:20 for a lot of people. It was even trending on Twitter. And I want to talk about a lot of the stuff out there, why people should be suspicious and what people need to understand, because you're going to hear all these people who literally are on cruise control. Their brains are on autopilot. They literally, like I said, even people who listen to my channel commented and they were like, why are people phoning me up? I didn't drive over any bodies on my way home from work. I didn't see a zombie apocalypse. They don't understand that it's a metaphor for what's happening inside of these people's bodies as of now. That is what we all believe. A lot of us believe. That's what I believe, I should say. I shouldn't speak on behalf of anyone else. That's what I fully believe, and I fully expect this to get cloaked in with the next wave. There's going to be a lot of people getting sick, and they're just going to blame it on the next wave, and everybody's going to forget about today because everybody was talking about it as if it was supposed to happen literally in real time when the message came that people were supposed to drop dead on their phones. And I said that wasn't the case. It's not the case. You have to understand how this works. So before I get into detail about it, I want to remind everyone on my website, uprisingrevival.com. I just uploaded 2 videos today. One is in deeper detail about this topic, about the Marburg virus, about other things like IP36 that people need to know about what this is, what's really going on, about how you can activate the black goo. Obviously, if you watch my previous video, you can see a couple of the videos that I've done, the compilation of clips, which maybe I'll add at the end of this if I remember, I'm not sure, where you can see the predictive programming with a bioweapon. Remember, the motto of these people is silent weapons for what? Quiet wars. And what's going on right now? A quiet war. Doesn't anybody feel like war has been waged on them personally? Republican or Democrat in this country? Everybody's feeling it because we're in a war right now. It's a psychological war. It's a quiet war. It's a silent war. Okay? And it's a silent weapon that you'll never be able to trace back to them because they'll never allow it, because just like a certain book of theirs teaches, which I cover over on the website as well, they believe that their hands are washed clean because it's not a direct thing. So in other words, they feel in their books that they teach about in a certain building that they go to where they like to convene and have bagels, they believe that they have the right to kill, and if they do it through a different means, if it's not a direct, stabbing or something along those lines, then their hands are washed of it. It's not their fault. So in other words, they hired somebody to do their dirty work, et cetera, et cetera. They're not of guilt. That's how they believe. And of course, they all believe that we're nothing but cattle. So over on the website, I just want to let you know, I do have that new video, as well as a video that people should see about those cards that you used to have to show us proof of a certain something, which you can't even say the word on YouTube, you'd be thrown off. That's how ridiculous they are, that's how protective they are, and that's how paranoid they are about the truth actually getting out. So I cover that over on the website because people need to be prepared about the digital ID. The first phase of it is over with, the paper phase. I told you it would be over with a while ago, that it was just a phase to condition people for the card. So that type of content is up over on the website, Uprising Revival, as well as the forum where you can share tons of information. I highly recommend you join. It's the price of a bottle of water for a month's worth of content. It's exclusive content. It's my library of videos, which you can't find anywhere else because they've been scraped off the face of the earth, even though I'm a new YouTuber. And the forum itself is worth the price of admission. Everybody over there is sharing great stuff. They're sharing videos, they're sharing articles, they're sharing thoughts, they're sharing things happening in their life, they're sharing things they're seeing at their own department stores so that people can see the satanic cabal agenda right in front of our faces. So check out the website, uprisingrevival.com, if you haven't. So, like I said, silent weapons for quiet wars. That's how this works. So anybody out there that was expecting people to drop dead, even people, again, who listen to my videos, commented. People I've seen comment before who know what's going on, who are regular subscribers, didn't pay attention and said, well, nothing happened to me. I left my phone on. I'm perfectly fine. It's like, do you not get it? Okay? You're not supposed to fall dead. Nobody said, or at least nobody I know, or nobody who knows how this actually is supposed to work, was saying you were going to drop dead on the spot. Something was activated inside of you. And now there's a window of time where you're going to be evaporated. You're going to be extinct. Okay? like everybody said from the get-go. Now, some people, it didn't happen this way because it didn't take in them when they first took it. A lot of people perished immediately within a 6 month to a year window. But it was never going to be this happens and immediately people drop dead. And the same thing with the rollout. Everybody was like, oh yeah, I got it. I'm perfectly fine. Nobody said you were going to croak in the minute you took it. Otherwise, everybody would wake up and nobody would go and get it. Duh, huh? You think they have their whole master plan was, oh, and then we're going to send a mass text message. And then all at once, everybody like dominoes is going to fall over so that everybody could realize that we're really doing this and behind it and they can come and kill us. Of course not. They know that by activating it, now those people are ticking time bombs and they're walking viruses themselves. So how do we know to be even more suspicious about that text message being sent today? Well, of course, everybody's talked about 10-4, right? The old saying, 10-4, over and out, right? 10-4. But also because other countries, conveniently, who we're supposedly at war with, ran the experiment at the same time, which tells us what? If Russia's running this test today, Israel's running this test, Australia, the UK, they're all running this same test at the same time. Not within the same hours of one another, within a window of days of one another because there's different time zones, etc., right? Why would they all be? Because that shows us that they're globalists, that the governments are in secret working with one another. Now, you'll never hear on the news that Russia ran the test at the same time, ever. Now, you'll hear stories on the news about deflection from this. Why? Because they're guilty, of course, and they only bring attention to things so they could project and deflect. And that's what they did. They started laughing about it. Oh, everything's going to be fine. Because they wanted to plant the seeds in people's heads that this so-called, oh yeah, zombie apocalypse was literally going to be a zombie apocalypse. Again, it's a metaphor for what's happening inside of people's bodies. The people who took the potion are literally the zombies. That's already been identified. We've already realized that. We see how they act. We see how they regurgitate everything the news tells them. They're not human. They're on autopilot. And now inside of those people, everybody out there is like, oh yeah, the alarm is going to go off. Now I'm craving brains and da-da-da. It's a big joke to these people. It won't be a joke when they're lying on their deathbeds. It won't be a joke then. But we already know that these same people will not believe that what just occurred is actually what's going to happen. Why? Because in the next few weeks, what you're going to hear is an uptick in this outbreak. Uptick, uptick, uptick. And it's not just to get people to run and get another dose, okay? It's because they're going to use the uptick as a shield. So if anybody in their life gets suspicious as to why their mom, their sister, their brother, their boyfriend suddenly is sick and dying, well, they're going to tell you it's the outbreak that's back again. And they'll all believe it, of course, because they believe everything they hear from the government, because they're suckers. They might as well have it tattooed on their forehead. You're not going to hear anything about, oh, an emergency alert have activated something, right? So they wanted to bring attention to the alert because they knew that nothing would happen the instant that the alarm went off, just like I said nothing would happen the instant that the alarm went off, because they know that it's a time bomb. So when it's a time bomb, then this passes, and tomorrow's October 5th, and people will still crack jokes about it, and then everybody will move on. So by October 20th and October 30th, when the media starts telling you about an uptick in cases out there, everyone will say, oh, you know, they're just trying to get everyone to get a potion. But it will also be a cover and a front, and all of these people will be diagnosed with that specific thing. You will not hear about Marburg. You won't hear any of these other things. You'll just hear about the specific thing that they want you to believe is actually viral in the air, when it's not. It's viral in the body. And it's viral in the body because people took it in the body. Now, another thing people have asked me questions about is why? Why would they? There's multiple reasons why they would tell you about the message, right? Well, number one, it's so that people aren't suspicious if they just sent out a mass message and didn't tell people, because that would naturally make people suspicious. Have you talked to anybody who wasn't aware of the alert and seen how they reacted? Have you? Because I have already. And they were freaked out by it. Oh my goodness, did your phone go off? Yeah, sure. Wink, wink. Yeah, my phone went off. Right? And they were scared. They jumped out of their seat. They thought it was real. Oh, okay. Well, that's how everybody would have reacted, which would have freaked a lot of people out. And then maybe if they looked up and saw these things that we're all talking about that they're calling conspiracies, they might become wise to it. So the government let them know ahead of time. And then they also let them know that there's conspiracies out there about zombies and how the people were going to be foaming and craving brains by 3 o'clock today, when anybody who's a legitimate person covering this stuff never said that. Everybody said that it was an activation, and now there's a period of time and a window for those people. Now, I'm not going to give you the specific numbers on that, because I don't know the specific numbers as far as how many doses certain people had, how often they went and got this or that, when they got them, which ones they got, et cetera, et cetera. But what we do know is the predictive programming. We do know the technology that they have to create this. So the other thing that people have been asking me, which I can easily, tell you about, is people say, well, why would they want to kill off their own kind? Because these people are all, representative as Democrats and libs, right? All the people who took it, and then all the people who are forcing it on everyone, right? Well, think about how this is going to work. All they care about is a mass extinction. That's all they care about. They don't care that these people drool over them. They look at them as lower than us because they at least have somewhat of respect for us to be able to see through the nonsense that they pull. They have zero respect for these people. They're like carcasses to them, rotting carcasses. And they're licking their mouths. It's like these people are putting trust in the devil. You think the devil cares about these people? No. You think these people care about the little people out there that are following them and worshiping them? No, they don't. So after they get rid of them, that's the question people have. They're like, well, if they get rid of them, then it's going to be the rest of us, and then they're not going to be able to rule and control. Well, where do you think Donald Trump comes into it? It's the second phase of herding. We've had the first phase of herding. What do you think is going to happen with the next phase of herding? Very clear to see what the next phase is going to be, with Donald Trump leading the way to get the next wave of people to go along with something. Now, it wouldn't be a potion, obviously, because they already know that the majority of those people will not go and get one. But what could it be? Well, fake nuclear attack, fake war with another country, fake war with China, et cetera, et cetera. So there's phases of this extinction. And the first phase is obviously long underway. And the people who have willingly got for it, you could already tell that they're mentally they're living in a different reality than anybody else is, right? They're living in this just everything's a joke. Everything's a conspiracy. They don't think past 1, 2, 3, then they lose focus or attention. They can't listen to anything. Hence a lot of the comments that most of us get covering this topic, where they're just immediately going, oh, these people said we're foaming at the mouth. Look, wrong, debunked again. There's a difference between September 23rd and this. When I talk about September 23rd is that it's always picked as a date of a rapture. So I didn't want Christians to obviously see this and then not get raptured and then question their faith or question if they, were good enough Christian, and all these things that are variables in that, right? This isn't some type of date-setting event. They picked a date, which we've all been waiting for them to pick and select. They announced it months ago. And then when you start seeing the dominoes fall after, you don't jump immediately and go, this is it, this is the trigger, they're sending the emergency tech. When you see Russia, when you see UK, when you see Australia, when you see Israel, you see these other countries all doing it at the same time, you realize that the globalists, obviously, who are all working together, are all doing this at the same time. Now, it's no coincidence either that we're in the month of October while this is happening. This is their month, right? If you've watched the videos I've covered, and again, a lot of those will be over on the website, uprisingrevival.com, about Halloween. Okay, it really starts for them on the 13th. 13th to the 31st is ritual sacrifice season. They used to actually give this stuff out to local police force for training, because in the month of October, there were so many bizarre, murders and things like that occurred. So they were told what to look for, et cetera, so they could identify the case and try to find, this is pre-CCTV, this is pre-cell phone, et cetera. This is 70s and 80s. So the police force wasn't fully compromised then. And I'm not saying it fully is now, because I'm sure there's some people, but for the most part, they have to go through the fraternal police order. So yeah, they are mostly compromised. Everybody in a position of sergeant, sheriff, et cetera, is compromised. We all know that much. So on October 13th begins the month of ritual season. So that falls how far from today? 9 days, right? 9 days, which would be right in the middle there of where a lot of these people are going to start feeling the effects, right? And again, they're going to come out in a couple of weeks and they're going to tell you that the wave is kicked up, that the outbreak is getting stronger and stronger. And the next phase, and everyone will be distracted and focused on the masks and all the things that they try to push on you again, instead of realizing that was what this was right here. It's a cover for it. It's not just a way to get people potion, to get people mass. It's going to be a cover for this wave of people. Now, I don't know the window on their lives. I don't wish harm on anybody. But at this point, if you're lining up and you're getting it, you're worse than a sitting duck. You might, I could say some pretty harsh things, but I won't, because obviously I'll probably get a strike anyway for this video, even though I'm trying to tippy-toe around the actual truth, which is why I have to put this stuff on the website, because they won't let me speak it here, right? Nobody's seen somebody as censored as me. I've seen other channels censored, but you could easily point a finger at some of the content and say, well, you said this, or you said that, you said something racial, you said the F word, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, okay. then you might understand, say, well, they are, even though I might not agree or you might not agree, they are cracking down on that stuff. I'm tippy-toeing using different languages, talking about celebrities and getting strikes because they don't want you to realize what this is all about, the core of this, which is spiritual. Okay, this is about God and the devil. That's what it's always been about. It's what it still is about. And they show you that is what this is about. So we'll see what the aftermath of this is in regards to how the media covers this. I'm sure after I've recorded this, there'll be stuff on the nightly news. Hey, look, we're still here, that kind of a thing, right? The local news stations make, did you hear that weird alert today? Oh, yeah, we all did. But we're still here. Some thought it was going to be a zombie apocalypse, et cetera, et cetera. They'll dismiss it, and they'll move on to the next thing. And the next thing will be, again, you'll hear about another wave. Nobody will connect the dots between the two. Okay? Nobody will connect the dots at all. You'll hear no stories about any after effects of this. You'll hear nothing. Nothing whatsoever, except the same old stuff. And, of course, they'll already have the boogeyman to blame for people who are croaking all of a sudden in the next couple of months. Max, maybe? We'll see. We'll see how it works on people. Maybe their bodies were able to fight it off. Maybe their immune system's built up. Maybe they started taking NAC like I had mentioned many times over. We'll see. But I'm curious to see how the mainstream media covers it. I already know. But it's going to be funny. It's unbelievable looking at Twitter and everyone's like, oh, look, I got home from work. Nothing happened to me. When, everybody's been screaming that you're not going to be foaming at the mouth. Your insides are literally going to begin foaming, though. And you'll never connect the dots. You'll never think back on this day in 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. You'll never think back on it. You're just going to move on with your life and forget it. Just like everybody forgot when they said you needed a mask and you didn't need a mask. You didn't need a mask, then you needed one. You didn't need this. If you got this, you would be fine and free for the rest of your life. Oh, wait, well, that changed too, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because nobody's paying attention. They're going too fast. They're in a rush to get nowhere, I always say. Right? You always see these people in a rush. They're driving 100 miles an hour. They don't realize if you actually GPS going like 65 versus 100, you're only going to get there like for a stretch of like, if you were going 100 miles, you're only going to get there like 20 minutes faster. I mean, is 15 minutes, is it really that big of a deal? 10 minutes? No, of course not. But they're in a rush. They don't even realize it to get nowhere, right? So people are always just focused on the next thing. They're always just, their attention span is too short. So they won't remember any of this at all. The only thing they'll remember is, oh yeah, weren't we supposed to turn into zombies? That didn't happen. I'm going to CVS right now. I need more, right? Idiots. Absolute idiots. And like I always say, they're on autopilot. They are literally on cruise control. Nobody is home in the cabin above. Nobody. And nothing. Except a pile of mush. I thank everyone for being here. Hope to see you over on the website, uprisingrevival.com. God bless all of you as always, and your families.